Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB wildcard game scheduled for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. It's the first day of the 2024 MLB postseason. Here are those wildcard games. First up, we start the 2024 MLB postseason with the Tigers and Astros AL wildcard matchup, 2:30 Eastern on ABC. Tarik Skubal and Framber Valdez, a pair of the best lefties in baseball, going at it in this one. Skubal's got to be the AL Cy Young winner, in my opinion. He's definitely the heavy betting favorite, and for good reason. He had an excellent season this year. Big reason why the Tigers were able to make the playoffs. 18-4 record, 2.39 ERA. Number one in the league in strikeouts with 228 in 192 innings and a .92 whip. He, is going to be a big piece for this Tigers team, if they can make a little run here. But I also got mentioned, Framber Valdez in the second half of the season, not too many better pitchers in baseball than him, and especially when it comes to just profitability and the fact that the Astros won a ton of his starts in the second half of the season. He had a great year overall with a 15-7 record, 2.91 ERA. Solid strikeout numbers, but we know that Framber, I would say, is more of a pitch-to-contact guy. He has a great ground ball percentage in the month of September. Down the stretch, 51 to 23 ground ball to fly ball ratio. So he's able to get those double play outs if he needs to get out of jams. And like I said, a quality start machine and a profit machine for the Astros. For me, while it may be tempting to take the plus money with the Detroit Tigers, who had, arguably one of the hottest teams in baseball in the last couple of months, I just think with Framber's playoff experience, you got to remember this is Skubal and a lot of the Tigers' first playoff games in their careers, and the fact that the Astros hit lefties a lot better in the month of September than the Tigers did. Although Detroit made that run, it was really their success offensively against righties. Against lefties, they had a super high strikeout rate. They were near the bottom of the league in OPS and isolated power. Compare it to the Astros, 860 team OPS, good isolated power numbers, and a sub 20% strikeout rate against those left-handed pitchers. I also think that the Astros have the superior bullpen, so give me Houston in this first game on the money line. Next up, the Royals and the Orioles, the second American League wildcard game. This one, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Cole Ragans and Corbin Burnes are your projected starters. Now, these are the two aces for these respective teams. Burnes had another great season, sub-3 ERA, top 10 in whip. His strikeout numbers did dip a little bit. He still had 181 Ks, but only 194 innings, less than a strikeout per inning. That's not what we're really used to seeing from Burnes. And on the other side, Cole Ragans, we know he had a great second half of the season last year with his new team in KC and had a lot of expectations going into this season. He definitely carried over that success to this year with a solid campaign, 3.14 ERA, top 5 in strikeouts, and most importantly for me, he pitched really well on the road with a 91 innings, 101 strikeouts on the road, and a sub-3 ERA. And it's funny enough, when you look at these two pitchers and their games against the opposition at the beginning of the season, Ragans did struggle against Baltimore in one of his two starts against them, but that was at Kauffman Stadium. He actually pitched lights-out baseball against the Orioles at Camden Yards, 6 1/3 innings, shutout ball with 7 strikeouts, while Burnes in that same game, 9 base hits given up, only 3 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, with a couple of runs given up as well. Now, that was at the very beginning of the season, so you can't really put too much weight into those games, but I still think it's worth noting that the Orioles did struggle quite a bit against lefties in the month of September. And then you look at the bullpens, while the Royals as a team did not have their best month in September, and they kind of held on for dear life to that playoff spot, their bullpen actually was, pitching quite well. They were number 4 in xFIP in the bullpen with a 3.25 xFIP, and they had a sub-3 ERA at 2.77. Compared to the Orioles, pretty decent, expected numbers, right around league average, but an ERA above 5. I think there's value with the Royals in this game, getting plus money. I think the over is also worth a look, so give me KC in this one on the money line. Next up, the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers, the first National League wildcard game. This one's going to be a 5:30 Eastern start time on ESPN. Now, right now, it looks like the Mets are going to go with Luis Severino, but because of that doubleheader on Monday, it does change things for the managers a little bit, so maybe they try a different strategy. We'll have to wait and see, but it should be Freddie Peralta on the other side for Milwaukee. And I like the Brewers in this game. This is a tough spot for both the Braves and the Mets having to play this game now on Tuesday after the doubleheader on Monday, traveling to Milwaukee and San Diego. But I still think beyond that, I mean, when you look at the Brewers this past weekend series, they had nothing to play for against the Mets, and the Mets had everything to play for, and yet Milwaukee still won 2 of 3 games in that series. And for me, the Brewers are just the guardians of the National League. They're not necessarily the biggest names on paper and on their roster, especially with Yelich out now, and they just find a way to win. I mean, a lot of people wrote this team off, especially after the Burns trade and the Woodruff injury. Not a lot of big pieces anymore, and not a lot of people expecting them to fall a little bit. They won the division by 10 games and really didn't look back, the whole way of the season. Peralta had an inconsistent year, but he still pitched well. I mean, a sub-4 ERA, great strikeout numbers at 200 strikeouts in about 173 innings, so well over a strikeout per inning. He pitched well down the stretch of the season, his last 3 games, 2 earned runs or fewer in those last 3 starts, and I think he pitches well in this game. The Brewers are obviously more rested, and their bullpen should have a lot more availability. And I just think that Milwaukee it's too good of a spot for them in this one. They're probably going to be a pretty steep favorite, but I'll take the Brewers on the money line, maybe the run line in Game 1. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres, the final game for the Tuesday card in Major League Baseball, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. And this game's a little bit tricky because we don't have official starters for either team right now. We could infer that because Chris Sale didn't pitch on Monday in the doubleheader in either one of those games, he could very well be the option for Game 1 here on Tuesday. And the Braves could probably use him because they use a lot of their bullpen in that doubleheader, series with New York on Monday. Iglesias went both games. Jimenez went both games. So I could see Sale, I could see the Braves really relying on Sale to give him 6-7 plus innings in this game. Might be their best chance. And when you look at the Padres offensively against lefties in the month of September, they were 23rd in team OPS. They didn't have a great isolated power. They did have a pretty low strikeout rate, but I could see Sale pitching well if he gets the start, about 5-6 innings. I like the Braves in the first 5 innings in this game. I don't love them in the full game because just the uncertainty of that bullpen, the fact that it still is a tough spot for them, and we saw them blow the lead in Game 1 a couple of times in that doubleheader on Monday. They were up 3-0. They blew that lead. They were up 7-6 in the 9th inning. They blew that lead. So for me, I'm just going to take Atlanta in the first 5 innings. I think this is going to be a competitive series. Maybe, I would say, of the 4 series, this one has the best chance of going 3 games. But give me the Braves in the first 5. We'll have to wait and see who San Diego goes with to start their series. They have a lot of options, though. This is a great Padres rotation and a really good Padres bullpen. So that's why I like their chances to potentially find a win in a close game late. I'll just take the Braves in the first 5 for now. And that's it. Those are the wildcard games for Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.